right, so we're going to be solving absolute value equations. So when you solve them, you have to first isolate the, absolute value. There's not, I don't know why it says inequalities. You're going to isolate the absolute value here, so whatever is in the brackets, and then we're going to create two equations. So this one here should say isolate absolute value. So I'm going to put -2 minus 10y equals 98, and my other equation is -2 minus 10w equals -28. So there's two separate equations, and we're just going to solve them. So add your 2 to both sides, and divide by a -10. So w equals -10, and then same, add your 2 over here, but this time we now get -96 divided by your -10. W equals, let's see, 9.6. You're always going to want to plug these back in to actually make sure they work, because there will be cases where they don't actually work. All right, so for number 2 now, we have to first add our 6 to the other side, and now we have the absolute value by itself. So you're going to write your two equations. You have your 2b plus 4 equals 20, and your 2b plus 4 equals -20. And then we're just going to add both of these cases. So subtract your 4 over, and then divide your 2. So b equals 8. Same thing here, subtract your 4, and then divide your 2. So don't forget, we have to plug them back in. Over here, I did plug them back in to make sure they both worked. So when I mean plug them back in, I'm going to type in my calculator. Here, I'll show you real quick. So that's me checking the other answers. So I'm going to plug in my calculator. 2 times 8 plus 4. The absolute value of that's 20 minus 6 works. And then 2. The absolute value of that will be a positive 20. Again, positive 20 minus 6 is still 18. Or still 14. So both of those worked. So now down here, we're going to divide by -4 first. So 7 minus a. And then solve your two equations from here. So as you can see here, I went ahead and solved it for you. So you get your -2 and your 16. I checked both of them again in my calculator, and they both worked. So on number 12 over here, our first step is to add 9 to both sides. So I get -34. Divide both sides by 2. So I get -17. Now, an absolute value can never equal a -17. But you could go ahead and solve it out, write your two equations like we do over here, find them, and when you plug these two answers back in on this side, neither one are going to work. So if you don't catch this here, it's fine. You can still do the whole problem, but this one's going to have a no solution. And on your delta math, when you have it, you're going to leave it as the empty set. So when it's going to say x equals, nothing's going to be inside of there. So we have no solution for that. All right, so for number 13, I'm going to go ahead and get the absolute value by itself. So I went ahead and solved, as you can see here. I subtracted 1 from both sides. And then, sorry, it was a little behind me. That's what I got in this line. And then I divided both sides by a -10. So that's what I get here. And so from here, I set it equal to 3 and -3. Now, even though there was a negative to begin with, do you see how it now equals a positive value? That's why this one will not be a no solution. So we're going to subtract 3, 9r equals 0, and that's fine. Divided by 9, and r will equal 0. Subtract 3, divide by 9, r equals -2/3. So I'm going to go ahead and plug my 0 back into there and see if they both work. So 1 minus 30, that one works. Plug this in. That would be 9 times. Yep, so they both give me the correct answer when I checked them. So these are both solutions to our equation. Now, one like 14 might look a little bit different, but it's okay. The absolute value can equal a positive and negative equation, just like it can equal a positive and negative number. So you're going to be solving 5a plus 8 equals 3a minus 10, and we're going to solve 5a plus 8 equals a negative 3a plus 10, because what I did is I distributed a negative to both of those terms, and now I'm just going to go ahead and solve them. So I went ahead and solved these right here. So I set it equal to 3a minus 10 again, and then remember I distribute the negative. So I subtracted 8 from both sides, and then this one I subtracted my 3a over. Got here, divided by 2. So a equals negative 9. Over here, I added the 3a because it was a negative. Divided 2/8 is the same as 1/4. So then I checked it in my calculator, as you can see here. And so when I plugged in negative 9, I got negative 37 each time. But when I plugged in 1/4, I got a positive and negative, and those aren't the same answer. So this one doesn't actually work. So our only solution that works is the a equals negative 9. So number 15 down here, the first thing I have to do is get the absolute value by itself. So I'm going to add my 5 to the other side. And then we're going to do the exact same thing we did before. We're going to let it equal a positive equation, and we're going to let it equal the negative equation. So there's the positive and negative 3 and minus 5. And then I'm going to go ahead and solve these. And just like before, when I plugged them in, I plugged in the 4, both sides, I got 17, but when I plugged in the 2 9s, I got the opposites of each other. So again, this side won't be a solution, so only this side will be a solution. So on number 16 over here, it could be you can multiply like the 1/5, and it's easier, I think, to multiply both sides by 5 here so that you have your absolute value here, and it will make it a lot easier for you to solve. So that becomes 5x plus 25, and then we're just going to go ahead and solve these equations. So I went ahead and solved both of these right here. So I set equal here. Hopefully you're catching on that on all these equations here, that this one over here is not working in this fashion, so only this is a solution. But since we always set it equal up here to a positive and negative, you can keep the process down here to get your answer.